everyone! Today we're talking about circumference word problems. Circumference word problems use the same formulas that we've been using the last 2 days, but now you're getting the information from a word problem. So first we have to go over some key vocabulary. Here are some words that mean circumference. One of them is outside edge. Outside edge means you're along the outside of a circle, which is the circumference. Another key word is one rotation. One rotation means something is spinning, like if I spin this pen around. And when you've completed a whole rotation, then you've moved in a circle. So one rotation is also discussing circumference. One turn means the same thing as one rotation, so that's also circumference. And a circular border would be circumference, because a border means around the outside edge, and if it's circular, then it is circumference. We also have some words that mean diameter. Diameter is going from one side of the circle to the other. So the distance from one side to the other is the diameter, or the distance across the circle is the diameter. And finally, we have some key words that mean radius. Distance from the center to the edge is the radius. The distance away from the center, so how far something is from the center of the circle, is the radius. And the length of something attached to the center is the radius, like a fan blade. When something's attached to the center, then it is a radius from where it's attached. So if this pen were attached right here, to the tip of the pen would be the radius of the circle made by spinning the pen. Now that we know the vocabulary, let's look at a few examples of word problems. So the first word problem says, a clock's minute hand is 4 inches long. How far will it travel in 1 hour? Okay, the minute hand of a clock, so a clock's minute hand here, that is something attached to the center of a circle, because the clock's minute hand is attached to the center and then it spins around in a circle. So a clock's minute hand is 4 inches is really telling us that the radius of the circle is 4. So we're going to say radius is 4 here. So the radius is 4 because the clock's minute hand is 4 inches. Now it's saying how far will it travel in 1 hour? Well, the minute hand goes all the way around a circle in an hour. So when it says how far will it travel in 1 hour, it's really asking for the circumference. So I'm finding the circumference and I'm told the radius. To do this, I'm going to use the circumference radius formula, which is circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. In this problem, I don't know what circumference is. Circumference is what I'm looking for, so that's going to stay C. 2 is going to come down. For pi, I'm going to use 3.14. And then for the radius, I'm going to use 4 because it says the radius is 4. So now to solve this, when I look at it, all of my numbers are on one side and my variables alone on the other side. Since all of these numbers are on the same side of the equation, I can just multiply them. So when I multiply these, I do 2 times 3.14 times 4, and I get 25.12. So the circumference of the minute hand spinning around in a circle is 25.12. That means in an hour, the tip of the minute hand is traveling 25.12 inches. For your homework, you would just write the number 25.12 because I don't want any units on your homework. Let's look at a second example. So the second example says, the distance around a circular track is 200.96 meters. The center of the track is filled with grass. How far is it from one side of the track to the other across the grass? Okay, the distance around the circular track, that's circumference. So that means this 200.96 is the circumference. So I can say the circumference in this problem is 200.96. I'm looking for how far is it from one side of the track to the other across the grass. How far is it from one side to the other is diameter. So what I'm looking for here is the diameter. Since I know the circumference and I'm looking for diameter, I'm going to use my circumference and diameter formula, which is circumference equals pi times diameter. Since the circumference is 200.96, I'm going to put that in for the c. So this is going to be 200.96 equals, for pi, I'm using 3.14, and then d. I can rewrite this without the parentheses. They're not really necessary since there's nothing to multiply. So this is 200.96 is 3.14d. Now, when I look at this, these two numbers are on opposite sides of the equal sign. I can't multiply them because they're separated by the equal sign. Instead, I have to try to get d alone using inverse operations. So, 3.14d means that I'm multiplying 3.14 and d. To get d alone, I'm going to do the opposite, which is dividing both sides by 3.14. When I do 200.96 divided by 3.14, I wind up with 64. 3.14 divided by 3.14 is just 1, or 1d. So I wind up with 64 is d. That means the diameter of my track is 64 meters, or if I walked from one side of the track to the other across the grass, I would be walking 64 meters. Again, on your homework, I don't want you to include units, so you would just write 64. Let's look at a third example. So our third example says, a circular garden is 12 feet across. How far is it around the edge of the garden? So a circular garden is 12 feet across. Feet across tells us that this is a diameter. So in this problem, my diameter is going to equal 12. Okay, it says how far is it around the edge of the garden? That word edge tells me I'm looking for the circumference. So I know the diameter, it's 12. I'm looking for the circumference, so I'm going to use my circumference diameter formula. C equals pi times d. Circumference equals pi times diameter. The diameter is 12, so that's going to go in for diameter. I don't know circumference in this problem, so it's going to stay c. Pi is going to be 3.14, and then for diameter, I'm putting in 12. So now, when I go to solve this, 3.14 and 12 are on the same side of the equation, so I can just go ahead and multiply them. So I go ahead and do 3.14 times 12, and I get 37.68. So my circumference is 37.68 feet. That means if I walked around the garden, all the way around the outside edge, it would be 37.68 feet. For your homework, you would just write 37.68. So remember, when you're doing word problems, the key is to use your key words, your key vocabulary, to determine what do you know. Do you know the circumference? Do you know the radius? Do you know the diameter? And then plug things in and solve the equations. If you have any questions, please email me. Have a good day.